Sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up. Alison's on TV. And when they hop on the phone, it's the place you want to be. Sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Do people come to you for advice a lot?
Yeah, it's funny. Someone the other day told me that I could have made a great therapist, to which I responded, I actually thought I was going to be a clinical psychiatrist at one point in my life, and I did, which is very different than a therapist.
Psychiatry is very different than therapy.
It is, but I think in my head I thought that phrase, clinical psychiatrist, it sounded impressive, and maybe it was just therapy.
Right.
I interned at UAB with Bobby May, who ran a clinic there. And that was very different than anything I thought. It was much more technical medically. Like I had to do EKGs on people.
Yeah.
I think it was an anxiety and depression trial study for some drug that was trying to get FDA approved. Anyway.
Like, this is boring.
Well, it wasn't boring. It was actually fascinating. It wasn't exactly in my wheelhouse. And then my first semester of college, I took Intro to Psych and got a C. And I said, and
did you analyze yourself? I know everyone who takes Psych 101 is like, I have all these disorders.
No, I wasn't even that intuitive. I didn't even get to the point where I was able to psychoanalyze myself because I got a C. And frankly, I don't think I'd ever gotten a C in school. So that was a shock to the system. And I said, all right, I think I'm going to do something I'm better at. So that's when I decided to become an English major with a philosophy minor. And then now I just sit around and wax poetic and think about what could have happened to me. I'm a very articulate philosopher now. So now I can think about what it would have been like to be a clinical psychiatrist or therapist. So all that to say, yes, people do come to me for advice, and I appreciate that. I also like giving advice. So it's a win-win situation. Why? Do people come to you often?
Yeah, people do. People come to me when I was laid off from Cartoon Network like 12 years ago. I started doing freelance. So then I had all these people come to me about work advice because then they wanted to do freelance, right? So they're like, what's it like? And I'm like, well, in addition to doing the thing you're passionate about, you also have to continuously do business development.
Right.
Do you like doing business development? No. I go, then don't go out on your own. And people come to me for love and relationship advice and parenting advice, all sorts of things. Fashion tips, which I'm not.
I usually outsource those to mommy anyway.
Yeah,
they're like,
too.
Is this appropriate? I'm like, hold please. Then I quickly side text mommy, what do you think about this combination? I'm like, yes, according to my sources, that is right on trend. Thanks for asking. Actually, I had a meeting the other night. Oh, sorry, you were going to tell a story, but I keep interrupting. I did have a meeting. This is quick. I had a meeting the other night, and Levi was like, well, where were you? I said, just meeting with a woman that I met a few months ago. He said, why? I said, she wanted, I don't know, advice from me, professional advice. He goes, from you? Why? I go, I don't know. It's a great question, but
because you're old.
She sought me out. Right. I'm old and I'm a good connector. That's my superpower.
Yes, that is my superpower. I love connecting people. And some people that's why people always want to put me in like sales positions, right? Because I love networking. I love making, what is it? Is it a Yiddish or a Hebrew term? Shidduchs?
Yep.
Which one? Is that Yiddish?
Yes, it's one of the two.
So shidduch means like you make a connection. It's like a match.
It's a match.
Really usually refers to like
people
setting up people for love,
right.
but it's also, for friendship or whatever, just making connections. So yeah, but people have come to me recently about starting different careers or going from having a job to having a career, and they want some advice because I switched my career, in my mid-30s, late 30s. And I always say, whether you're trying to look for direction or trying to look for love, I'm like, go back to when you were 12. Whether it's who was your crush when you were in elementary school or high school, right? And are they still single? Go connect with them. And then also with like when people are trying to find new career paths or trying to figure out what they're passionate about, I'm like, what did you want to be when you grew up? And I don't mean when you were 5, because I think 5 is very different than 12. And I interestingly enough wanted to be an actress.
Shocking.
But that's when I switched my careers. It was really focused on the other side of entertainment, right? I'd been on like the behind the scenes doing branding and entertainment consumer products and marketing for entertainment. And now I'm on the other side and still doing branding. But, what did you want to be when you were 12?
Well, I wanted to be a veterinarian, so I don't think I'll go back to that. I do love animals, but at this point I don't even have a pet, so I'm pretty far from that goal. I've just been thinking, as you've been saying this though, that there's an opportunity for you to even start another career branch, which is professional, not just matchmaking. I know you've tried that too, but connectivity, and I think you could call it Holy Shidduch. I'm going to see if that URL is available. I have a feeling it is. And I'm happy to create that website for you.
Okay, you buy URLs for a living. That's
I do. I secure URLs for a living. I have an idea. I secure it. Yeah, what was it? Fairy Prom Mother. That never came to fruition. That had a lot of, there was a lot of liability issues there. But yeah, so I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I still do love animals. And, I always say I could see myself living on a farm one day. Alan cannot, so I guess that's the end of that pipe dream.
Tell me more about your farm.
So it would definitely have chickens. You
would take care of these chickens?
Sure. I don't know how to, but I love eggs. So that would be a good incentive for me to take care of the chickens and protect them from predators. It would definitely have a lot of dogs who could roam around, who would tend to the other animals. Not sure I would have sheep. Horses are very high maintenance.
What about a rescue cow, like a miniature cow?
A rescue cow. Oh, speaking of rescue cow, so our cousin Jefferson lives on this property in Athens, Georgia. I don't know if you saw, but he posted that he has 2 retired horses who have now come to live on his property.
Why are you going to say cows?
No, and maybe he has cows too, but it made me think there's a place for that. If you have a home or a piece of land where people can send their retired animals, I would be into that. I don't want to maintain
home.
Yeah, a retirement home for wayward livestock or
like
something.
An active living center for your retired farm animal that you still love but can't maintain on your property, and they can't stay wherever they were.
Exactly.
But you would still pay for it.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening? But I'm sure, has full responsibility of those horses.
Oh,
but this is so interesting, because I would also love to be on a farm, but not a working farm.
No, I would not mind working on the farm, but I don't want to live on a working farm. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
Because now I'm a morning person. Orange Theory, sorry, I brought it up. Orange Theory has turned me into a morning person. So I'm okay getting up with the roosters now and starting my day early and going out, and it'd be a good workout. I mean, I don't know what I have to do, but cleaning out the barn and tending to those chickens, I'm sure that's a whole morning thing. Of course, this is what I'm thinking of in terms of retirement, that this is not something I'm going to do for a paid living. This was more, I don't know. But then that's a lot of work for retirement.
It is, but it's good. You'd want to be active, but this is like, if we retired and started like a rescue farm together, then that is really good fodder for a reality show. And Julie Burke, our friend Julie, who is who produces shows, a lot of reality shows in LA, is always not always, it's been a while where she contacted us about trying to figure out like what a reality show would be with me, you, and Mommy. But I mean, it's like running a rescue farm would be a great reality show. Yes. That would be hilarious.
So I love you, and I love the idea of a rescue farm. I'm not sure I want to run a rescue farm with you.
What if it's a game? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to.
I feel like we'd be rescuing more than just farm animals. We'd have to do some serious CPR on our relationship after a while.
What are you talking about?
It'd be a lot.
We wouldn't live in the same house. We'd each have our own space. We would just share the farm
Yeah, but
animals.
don't you know, like when we moved to Chattanooga, Mommy said, well, can't you just buy a piece of property and Daddy and I can live in you never heard this? We can live in a little house on the back side of the property and not, again, not together, but in the same place. And I said, I hear you, but when I have kids and they say we want to call the grandparents, my envision was them getting on the phone, not opening the back door and yelling, Nene, Papa, come eat. So,
Okay, I'm a little offended, first of all, that you're comparing me to mom and dad living on your property.
no,
Okay?
I'm not comparing it. I'm saying that that's the same idea. Like, even if you're not living in the same household, sharing property is the next most intimate prospect.
Well, let's get real. This isn't not
I'm
even
trying
gonna
to get
happen.
real.
This is not even going to happen. And you just put the kibosh on it. I was actually thought you didn't want to do the reality show, and I'm glad that wasn't what you said.
I don't want to do the reality show either, but I
It's a
thought
game
I'd preface
show.
it by saying I also don't want to live with you.
I don't
But I
wanna live
love
with
you.
either. I don't want to live with you either. I like my space.
Okay,
I,
good.
so, anyways, I mean, I'm talking about 50 acres. You could live on one end, and I'd live on the
All of a
other.
sudden it's 50 acres.
Yeah, we'd
That's
meet in the
good.
middle to hang
That's
out with
high
our kids.
maintenance. That's high maintenance, though.
Yeah, it's okay because, our husbands would help take care of it. So,
No, my husband doesn't even want a dog. You think he's going to help take care of a rescue farm?
no. But let me tell you how high maintenance chickens are. One time it got really cold in Atlanta, and Joel, my friend Joel, has chickens, or I think he's down to one chicken. So cold to protect the chickens, you know what he had to cover them in? And not chicken sweaters.
What?
He had to take Vaseline and rub it all over them so their chicken skin didn't get chapped.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
That's
It is
that's an old
true.
farm wife's tale.
No, it's an old Joel tale. He did it. He
Vaseline
slathered them
helps. It protects them from the elements, from
Yeah.
cold.
from the cold. It protected their skin. I guess their skin was getting chapped. But when you think about it, it would also protect them from birds of prey because they're
Right,
big.
they just slide right off.
Really, they should just cover them in Vaseline year round, right?
Wow, that's a lot of Vaseline to cover a chicken, though.
Yeah, that's some dedication. Like when you get to the point where you get a vat of Vaseline and you're rubbing it all over a chicken, it's like a chicken day spa.
All right, it's amazing that in that one story you have totally deterred me from wanting chickens. So I'm having to think what else can be on my rescue farm. I told you so during the real like height of pandemic when a lot of this I tell people that I had to Marie Kondo my life, and anybody who knows Marie Kondo is she had a Netflix show, she has a book, and she tells you how to clean out your closets, right, and your belongings, and the rule of thumb is you look at something and say, does this bring me joy, yes or no, and that's the process. So I really through COVID figured out how to do that with everything in my life, right? Does this relationship bring me joy? Does surfing this website bring me joy? Does taking on this project bring me joy? Going to this virtual event, etc., and so forth. With that said, there were moments where I found that there were people who brought me joy, but not people I necessarily knew. So my friend Kathleen and I stumbled upon this woman who had a son at our son's school, and she is hysterical. She just like, Kathleen's like, do you follow her? I said, I don't even know her. And she said, well, you should follow her. She is she's funny. She's unfiltered. She's just got a great attitude, and it makes me laugh. So we both started following her, and she accepted our friend request, sight unseen. I think I might have told you this, but she lives on a big piece of property. They have these two giant dogs, including a Milo. What is
Yes.
it? The Pyrenees.
Great Pyrenees.
And this other giant dog. I don't know. His name is Moo, but I don't really know what kind of dog it is, but a picture what a Moo would look like. And she has a wallaby, a real life wallaby that lives in her house, and his name is Kevin.
How big is Kevin?
Kevin is like, picture a kangaroo. So a wallaby is, I think, also a marsupial.
No, because kangaroos are like man size, and wallabies are smaller, aren't? Have you seen the wallaby in person?
Okay, I haven't seen this woman in person. Let's
Oh, I
let's
thought
stay
you were
with
telling.
me. No.
I thought you were telling a story of how you became friends with her.
No, just Facebook friends. So
Okay.
I'm able
Well, that's
to.
disappointing.
Well, not yet. So I haven't finished the story though.
Okay, tell story away.
Okay, I haven't seen the wallaby in person. That's spoiler alert. But I have seen videos of him, and I mean he's really funny. And she has this hysterical relationship with him, and it's always like, he's so ornery this morning. What's wrong with you, Kevin? I mean, it just look, yes, and this is what makes me laugh.
Is he on? Does he have an Instagram page?
I don't know. Maybe.
He's got to.
I don't
Kevin the
know.
Wallaby.
Well, she posts about him every day. I bet if I went on there right now, she'd probably have some sort of video. All this to say is that I finally had to come clean and tell her, because I also wanted her to know just how much joy she brought to my life, sight unseen. So I sent her this whole Facebook message, and I just said, we don't know each other. I was really grateful you accepted my friend request. I'm obsessed with your animals, and your stories make me laugh, and your unfiltered approach to life. And just during a time where there's so much negativity in the world, you just brought me so much laughter and joy, and I appreciate you so much. Then it turns out that her dad is best friends with this guy she's not Jewish, but in our Jewish community, she's like, do you know this guy? He was my dad's best friend, and we've known them for years. And so we made all these connections too. And I said, well, when this pandemic is over, Kathleen and I are coming over with your favorite beverage, whatever that might be, and we want to meet the animals and meet Kevin and just hang out with you on the porch. So I haven't done it yet, but I'll let you know when that happens. I haven't forgotten.
I need to go with you. Also, Kevin is small. I found him on Facebook.
You did already?
Yeah, because the Animal Clinic of Chattanooga has a picture of him.
Oh my gosh.
He's really little. He's
Let's see.
he's smaller than my dogs. But look,
is?
yeah.
Oh, I guess. Oh, next to
He's
a
like,
person, he's kind of
yeah.
small.
Like kangaroos are like scary and big, and they're built like bodybuilders.
Yeah, because they can punch. They're
Like,
they're
have
good
you seen?
boxers.
Yeah, but if you look up, like if you look them up, like I bet some people are like, oh, well, I could date that kangaroo. Look at his pecs. Like they've got like crazy pecs. Like they have pectoral muscles. They're very strong.
So wallabies are
Versus
just like a miniature version.
Yeah.
They're the residential version of a kangaroo.
Wallabies are like the Jewish boy version of kangaroos. They're petite. They're like a little chunkier.
They're snuggly. They're so
snuggly.
sweet.
They're really sweet.
But
They
you
make
don't
great
want to.
husbands.
You don't want to piss them off, right? That is so funny. Oh gosh.
Like wallabies look like they could fit in the pouch of a kangaroo. That's how little they are.
Okay. So I don't know if they're that little. It's not. I mean, it's not a koala. I'm hoping she gets a koala next if we're going to go on this, wish list. Anyway, so she brings me joy. Her name is Joanna. I hope to meet her in person one day because she's our people. Because she's got the retirement farm already.
And now that you've talked about her on the podcast for 5 minutes, if she listens to this, is it gonna be a little awkward for
No,
you?
she knows. I was full disclosure on Facebook Messenger about 3 months ago about how I have been secretly stalking her because she brings me joy. I think she would appreciate it. I think she would. Knowing her so well virtually. I think she would appreciate
Take me to go meet Kevin the Wallaby. You do not have to share a farm with me when we're in our 80s, okay?
Fine. That's a good
deal.
quid pro quo deal.
So moving on, we had it wasn't like a big incident that happened this morning, but Murray, my oldest, got in a little trouble, which he never does.
Murray got into trouble?
Yeah, it's trouble, with a lowercase t. So Oscar bought himself a skateboard with old birthday money. And last night, Murray wanted to play with the skateboard outside. And I was like, no, you can't. That's Oscar's. Go ask him. Don't play with it. And then I started doing something else, like dishes or making dinner, something in my domestic chore list. So this morning, I go outside to feed one of the dogs, and there is Oscar's skateboard upside down, covered in water. And it's, it's like they're not supposed to get wet. It's wood, and it'll start to split. So I told Murray, I was like, look, I told you not to do this. You left it outside. It's going to warp, and now you owe Oscar money for this. And so he immediately called Oscar, not called, he went into Oscar's room and told him what happened and said, I'll replace it. And Oscar's like, okay. And then in the car, we dropped off Murray and I still have Oscar in the car and he starts talking to me about it. And I go, I'm sorry that happened. And he goes, well, Murray takes all of my stuff all the time. And I'm like, really? Like what? He goes, well, he took all of my Halloween candy last year. And I was like, no, he didn't. He goes, yes, he did. He told me at camp. I go, well, I don't know why he said that because he didn't take it. And he's like, then who did? And I said, well,
I'll write you a check. I'll add it to my bill.
I was like, I took it. He's like, why would you do that? We were saving all that Halloween candy. And they were like, I felt awful, but for like weeks, everyone was like, where did our Halloween candy go? But I was like, it was like pandemic and everyone had gained 1,000 pounds. We didn't need all that candy in the house. So I hid it. And then then I couldn't find it. I hid it from myself, which happens all the time. I'm sure you've hidden stuff from yourself. And then 5 months later, I found the Halloween candy and I gave it to our cleaning service. I was like, do you want, because I was going to throw it away. But she was like, no, I'll take it. I'll use it in piñatas. I'm like, okay, great.
Oh, perfect.
She's like, candy's expensive. Are you sure you don't want to keep it? I'm like, yeah, just please take it. Take it. We don't need it. So then Oscar, I just, I was like, he didn't do that, babe. I did. Don't do that again. And really, I will do that again.
I really miss, nobody tells you that to really, treasure the years when your kids are little and go trick-or-treating. Those were some of the most fun days because when we had a ton of kids on our street, we would do a whole block party. We would all go to my friend Raina's and she'd do big pots of chili and everybody would bring a dish. And then we'd all jump on somebody's mini golf cart or wagon together and go around the neighborhood behind our house. And there'd be like 14 of them, in this little posse. And then they'd meet up with every other kid in the block. It was so much fun. All the parents sort of, moseying behind them at some point when they were a little bit older. But now my kids, nothing. There's nothing.
I think my kids are still going to go trick-or-treating. Murray wants to have a get-together at our house. I once heard someone say, if you're old enough, and it was also in reference to boys, but obviously this can't happen for boys, but if you're old enough to be able to use a tampon, you shouldn't be trick-or-treating. Right. I was like, let this be what they're doing. If a 14
and girls go through puberty much earlier these days, right, so that's not a fair thing.
It's not a fair thing. And also, but I think what he was saying was if you are a teenager, you shouldn't be trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
Right? But
not true.
I'm like, seriously, what is the alternative? If they want to put on a crappy costume or no costume at all and go ring someone's doorbell and get candy, that's much better than ringing someone's doorbell and leaving a bag of flaming poop on the stairs.
True that. I didn't realize that was the only alternative. I will say though, Abe, he's going to all of these Halloween parties and college, and so he's so funny. I think we discussed maybe his eye sickness or whatever. So he's been having to wear his glasses for 2 months, which is literally the longest stint he's worn glasses since he was 7 and got contacts. So he says, I've been trying to figure out costumes where glasses are organic to the costume. So I don't feel
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Oh, so Harry Potter. Well, the first one, can you guess though, the first costume he is thinking about, which is the classic?
I mean, really, Harry Potter's the main one I can think of with glasses.
Pre-Harry Potter, Clark Kent.
Oh.
Yes. So he's thinking of being Clark Kent. I said, oh, that's perfect. He goes, I have a lot of different parties to go to. And so now, of course I started Googling, okay, great Halloween costumes for men with glasses. So Harry Potter came up. Where's Waldo was a good one. Because you can wear that little beanie. Yeah. Men in Black, but those are sunglasses. Yeah, and he doesn't have prescription sunglasses, so that was out.
See at night.
And then he can't see at night. Yeah, that's kind of hard. But it is. I thought that was pretty good. I go, what about Revenge of the Nerds? He shut that down immediately.
Does he even know what that is?
No, but he should. It's such a good movie. Alan found it on TV the other day and started watching it every night that it was on.
It is. I mean, it would never work today.
It would never work today.
There's sexual assault in Revenge of the Nerds.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's like the John Hughes movies that I used to love. I can't love them anymore.
I used to love Revenge of the Nerds. I was like 8 when I used to watch those.
See, I
I,
didn't watch it. I don't even know about all the inappropriate stuff.
I
Are
won't
they
even
even allowed to call them nerds? Is that appropriate?
I don't know. I think Nerds is okay. I don't know if that's
Nerds.
a title a name that our kids use anymore.
I think it's a title that kids give themselves. Like they're, I don't think it's bad. I think maybe they call themselves, nerds or
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I nerd out sometimes.
Do you know what new name they have now? And it's not for themselves. It's a pick me girl. Have you heard of this? Do you know what a pick me girl is?
I have no idea.
It's the girl who like raises her hand and is like, "Ooh, ooh, pick me, pick me."
Oh my gosh. But what do they use that in reference to?
It's a negative, right? They're like, "Oh, that like she needs attention." Like this is a girl who
Oh,
needs attention, who's always like, "Ooh, pick me, ooh, pick me, pick me, no me, no me." Am I a pick me girl? Probably.
I mean, if the pick me fits, yes.
If the raised hand fits, right? Also, I think I'm sure I talked about this on the podcast, but this is from like years ago when we went on our first Disney cruise, and we were in like the 300 or more seat theater, and there's a magician, and he's looking for he was looking for like a child audience member to come on stage,
Yeah.
and I Murray was sitting like 5 rows ahead of me with some other family he had befriended, and he turned into the pick me boy, except he started chasing the magician. And like he was like 10, and he was like chasing the magician
And
around the
large for his
theater.
age even
And he's like,
then, so
"Oh,
probably
pick me."
scary. Yeah.
No, he's like, "No, you're going to be unpredictable on the stage." They always want someone who's shy,
They want
not
somebody who's
someone.
shy and is not going to upstage them. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah.
So don't pick anyone from my family because we are upstagers.
Yeah, you are a pick me family.
Yeah.
Forget
We
pick me
are.
girl. Pick me fam.
Yeah, it's true. We are a pick me fam. So I know we talked about like what we want to do in our retirement, but something that could possibly happen earlier, especially for you as you're an empty nester, is the idea of taking a gap year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like kids are taking gap years now for college or before college or in between college or because of the pandemic.
Arthur takes one every other year, so if it's got the word gap in it, he's taking it.
But what would like a gap year look like for adults,
Hmm.
right? What would you do if you could take a gap year? What would you do? And that could be going abroad or trying a new career for a year that's like guaranteed, what would that be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, immediately what comes to mind is to travel. I've already told Alan I don't need stuff. I don't really like stuff anymore. I didn't really like stuff to begin with. I'm not like a huge jewelry person. I do love electronics. I love, technology. But I've already told him like for the rest of our lives, I really just want experiences. I thrive on connecting with people and places and ideas. And so I just want to travel. I want to go to places I've never been before. You know that South Africa is the top of my list and has been for a long time. But it's funny. Abe, a few years ago, already planned out our gap year. He said that once we're empty nesters, he thinks we should rent out our house or sell it to him so he can live it in the future. And then he decided we should move to Australia for a year. I don't
Ooh,
know why he
New
thought of
Zealand.
Australia. New
I
Zealand
think
would be good. I don't know if New Zealand would even let us in right now. There's probably still locked down, but that's a little far for me. I mean, I want to see my kids and I want to see mom and daddy and you and Stuart. I mean, so there's still family considerations, but I definitely would want to travel. I'm not into a gap year. I'm just ready for us to retire. I'd like to retire in like the next 5 years if that was feasible and figure out what that looks like. And that doesn't mean stop working, but an alternative, you're reading all these things about alternative lifestyles where people are figuring out how to live a minimalist life, make enough money so that they're comfortable, but not have to do the grind every day. I think that's probably at least one gift that COVID has given us is this reevaluation of our priorities and how we really focus on living while we're here. What about
yeah,
you?
I don't I think it would involve moving to another city for a year. But I can't do that with the kids. There's like the reality, when you talk about these things, there's like
Right,
the
right.
reality And then it's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do with all that money? Right. So this would be, no, I'm not responsible for dogs. I'm not responsible for kids. We can afford college, all those things. I think I'd want to live in New York City for a year.
Ugh, that's the
Yeah.
last place I'd want to live. That's so
As long
funny.
Yeah,
No.
but if we could afford it.
Right.
Because it's not a fun place. When I used to work for Turner and I had an expense account, New York was unbelievable. It was so much fun versus when I lived there for 2 years when I was at NYU for grad school.
Right.
It was not very fun.
I'll tell you when New York was fun for you too is when you thought you were going to live there longer than you did. And your bridal shower, everybody gave you New York experiences, which you had to do in 6 months instead of 4 years.
3 months.
Yeah.
Really. It was really quick. That was the best idea. It's still a good idea. I think that I would recommend this theme. If you're throwing a party for anyone for any reason, theme out the gifts and make them all experiences in whatever city they live in, because no one ever does that. No one's ever a tourist at home.
That was the best theme for a shower.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, Lee Dix and Hillary and Sid put that together.
Brilliant.
Thanks, friends. Well, thank you for listening to the latest Sis and Tell podcast. As always, share us with your friends and share us with your family. Well, we'll take strangers too. Download Sis and Tell wherever you listen to your podcasts.
As always, this has been Amanda and Alison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.
Sis and Tell.